There is a quiet reason why so many of us feel restless, even in moments that should bring peace. We chase happiness through achievement, through people, through control, but when we finally arrive, something still feels missing. It's not because we lack anything, it's because we're carrying too much. The teachings of the Buddha reveal that happiness isn't found in what we accumulate, it's found in what we release. The more tightly we cling to expectations, to past wounds, to fixed ideas about ourselves, the more we restrict the natural joy that wants to flow through us. Letting go is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is strength. It is a conscious choice to return to our true nature. In the words of the Buddha, you can only lose what you cling to. In this journey, we'll explore profound Buddhist lessons that gently uncover why letting go isn't just part of the path to happiness. It is the path itself. 1. Let go of control. You were never meant to hold it all. In today's fast-moving world, many of us believe that if we just control every part of our lives, we'll finally feel safe and happy. We try to manage everything: our jobs, our relationships, our future goals, even other people's opinions and behaviors. We make to-do lists, long-term plans, and backup plans for our backup plans. We think that the more control we have, the less stress we'll feel. But in reality, this constant need to control everything only creates more stress, more anxiety, and more disappointment. Why? Because life is not something we can trap or shape perfectly to our liking. Life is like a river constantly flowing, shifting and changing. No matter how hard you try, you can't make the river stay still or bend to your will. Buddhism teaches us that trying to control the uncontrollable is one of the deepest sources of suffering. When we resist what's happening, we fight against reality. But the truth is, there is great peace in surrender. Letting go of control doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become lazy or give up on your goals. It simply means you stop believing that everything has to go exactly the way you planned in order for you to be happy. When you loosen your grip and allow life to unfold naturally, you begin to feel lighter inside. You learn to trust the flow of events, even when they don't make sense right away. You become more open to unexpected opportunities. You stop obsessing over problems and start responding to them with clarity and calm. And most importantly, you begin to live in the present moment, not trapped in fears about the future or frustration about the past. Letting go of control is not a weakness. It is an act of strength, of maturity, of deep inner wisdom. It means choosing peace over perfection. It means understanding that true safety doesn't come from managing everything around you. It comes from trusting that whatever happens, you will be okay. And sometimes the most beautiful moments in life arrive not when everything goes according to plan, but when you allow life to surprise you. 2. Let go of the past. Your scars are part of the story, not the end. Almost everyone carries something from the past, a painful memory, a mistake, a betrayal, or a loss that still aches deep inside. Sometimes we keep replaying these moments in our minds, as if holding on to them will change what happened. But no matter how much we think about it, we can't go back and undo the past. The pain may have been real, but when we keep reliving it, we only continue to suffer. Buddhism teaches us that suffering doesn't come only from what happened to us, but from how tightly we hold on to it. The past is already gone, but our minds keep bringing it into the present, turning it into a burden we carry every day. Letting go of the past doesn't mean forgetting it or pretending it didn't hurt. It means understanding that what happened no longer has power over you unless you keep feeding it your attention. Every time you tell yourself, "I should have done better," or "I'll never recover from that," you're giving the past permission to shape your identity. But the truth is, you are not your pain. You are not your mistakes. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become now, in this moment. Buddhism encourages us to practice acceptance, to agree with what hurt us, but to stop fighting against it. Accept that the pain existed. Accept that it changed you. But also accept that you no longer need to carry it like a weight on your shoulders. When you stop identifying yourself by your wounds, you begin to see that they were only one part of your story, not the whole book. Just like the lotus flower grows from muddy water, your growth often comes from the very places where you were broken. Letting go of the past is not about erasing your story. It's about choosing not to be trapped by it anymore. You can look back with compassion and say, "That part of me was hurting, but I'm healing now." You can honor your journey without letting your past define your future. And as you gently set down the burden you've been carrying, you make space for new experiences, new joys, and a lighter, more peaceful heart. 3. Let go of expectations. The world doesn't owe you your ideal version of it. One of the quietest ways we suffer is through our expectations. We carry around an invisible list of how life is supposed to be, how people should treat us, how our efforts should be rewarded, how quickly success should arrive, and how smoothly our days should unfold. And when reality doesn't match those invisible hopes, we feel disappointed, frustrated, or even heartbroken. But the truth is, the world doesn't exist to fulfill our expectations. People are not always going to say the right thing. Situations are not always going to go according to plan. And life is not always going to move at the speed or direction you imagined. Buddhism teaches us that expectations are often the root of our suffering. When we expect something and reality gives us something else, we resist, we fight. We ask, "Why isn't this happening the way I wanted?" But peace doesn't live in the gap between expectation and reality. It lives in your ability to embrace the moment, even when it looks different than you pictured. Think about how often your stress comes not from what's happening, but from the belief that it shouldn't be happening. For example, when someone is rude, your expectation that they should have been kind makes the pain worse. When a goal takes longer than you imagined, it's not just the delay, it's the expectation of speed that creates frustration. The tighter we cling to how things should be, the harder it becomes to see and accept how things actually are. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean you give up hope. It doesn't mean you stop dreaming or having standards. It means you stop demanding that the world obey your version of it. It means replacing the question, "Why isn't this happening the way I want?" with "What is life trying to show me right now?" It's about replacing control with curiosity and disappointment with acceptance. When you release your expectations, something beautiful happens. You begin to appreciate what's in front of you instead of mourning what's missing. You become more open to surprises, to learning, to being shaped by life, rather than constantly trying to shape it. And with that openness comes peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer wasting energy wishing it was. Let go of the shoulds. Let go of the rigid ideas of how things must unfold. Life will not always follow your script, but it is still full of meaning, wonder, and quiet beauty if you're willing to see it as it is not just as you expected it to be. 4th, let go of attachment. The more you cling, the more you suffer. We are born into this world with open hands, yet as we grow, we begin to close our grip around the things we think we need to be happy. We cling to people, possessions, titles, outcomes, and even emotions. We say, "This is mine, this must stay, this must never change." And so we hold tightly, fearing loss, fearing change, fearing anything that might take what we love away from us. But the deeper truth revealed by Buddhist wisdom is that all things are impermanent, nothing lasts forever, Not your youth, not your job, not your loved ones, not your successes, not even your pain. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you hold in your heart is in a constant state of change. When we fail to see this, we suffer. We become afraid of losing what we have, or broken when it inevitably slips away. The problem isn't that things change. The problem is that we expected them to stay. Attachment says, "I need this to feel whole." It creates a false belief that our happiness depends on keeping certain things close. But clinging is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Buddhism doesn't ask us to stop loving or caring. It doesn't tell us to abandon joy or reject beauty. It teaches us to love more freely without chains. It invites us to hold things gently, knowing they are not ours to keep, but ours to experience. It reminds us that true peace doesn't come from locking things in place. It comes from flowing with life's natural rhythm of gain and loss, of coming and going. Imagine sitting by a river, watching leaves float by. Each leaf is a moment, a person, a chapter, a feeling. When we're attached, we try to grab the leaf and keep it. But the river keeps flowing, and when we refuse to let go, we get dragged. We suffer because we're not letting the current move. But when we sit with open hands, when we watch the leaf float by and smile with gratitude instead of fear, we align with the truth of impermanence. We accept that nothing stays, and we become free. This doesn't mean you stop loving the people in your life. It means you stop trying to possess them. It means you don't build your identity around things that can be taken away. You learn to love deeply without trying to trap the moment. You learn to care without fear. You learn to appreciate without clinging. And this kind of love, open, aware, present, is far more beautiful than the kind that comes from fear of loss. Letting go of attachment allows you to live with more joy, not less. You become lighter, more grateful, more alive to each passing moment. You stop needing things to be permanent in order to be meaningful. You stop fearing change and start welcoming it as a natural part of life. You begin to understand that happiness was never about owning, but about experiencing fully without grasping. So take a deep breath and loosen your grip. Life is always moving, always shifting. Let it. When you stop clinging, you stop suffering. And in that space of freedom, peace gently enters snot, because everything stayed the same, but because you finally stopped needing it too. 5. Let go of the inner critic. Your thoughts are not the truth. There is a voice inside your head that you hear every day, even when no one else is around. It whispers opinions about you, judges your actions, and labels your worth. This voice is often loud when you fail, when you feel uncertain, when you're vulnerable. It says things like, "You always mess things up, you're not good enough, or you don't deserve happiness." And because it's in your own mind, you start to believe it. You think, if I'm saying this to myself, it must be true. But here's what Buddhist wisdom gently reveals. You are not your thoughts. That voice is not your truth. It's simply a stream of mental habits formed by past experiences, fears, expectations, and pain. The mind is like a storyteller that never stops talking. It pulls from memory, from society, from old wounds, and creates stories, helpful, many harmful. It's not always trying to hurt you, but it is often trying to protect you from imagined dangers by keeping you small, safe, and hidden. It mistakes harshness for discipline. It confuses self-criticism with self-improvement. But constant judgment doesn't lead to growth. It leads to shame. And shame is like a fog that covers your inner light, making you forget how strong, beautiful, and capable you truly are. When you begin to observe your thoughts instead of automatically believing them, You create a sacred space. You start to notice patterns. You realize that many of your thoughts repeat, like a broken record playing old fears and outdated beliefs. You realize that these thoughts often contradict each other. One moment you're not doing enough. The next you're doing too much. You see how unstable the mind can be, how easily it jumps from praise to criticism, and then something powerful happens. You stop taking it so seriously. Buddhism teaches the practice of mindfulness not just to calm the mind, but to see it clearly. When you become the witness of your thoughts rather than their victim, you begin to reclaim your inner space. You realize there's a difference between a thought and the one who observes the thought. That observer in you, the quiet awareness, is who you really are. And that awareness is peaceful, wise, and deeply compassionate. It does not judge. It simply sees. Letting go of your inner critic doesn't mean pretending you have no flaws or refusing to improve. It means replacing punishment with understanding. It means responding to yourself the way you would to a dear friend, with kindness, patience, and encouragement. When you make a mistake, it's not a sign that you're broken. It's a moment for reflection, not rejection. When you feel lost, it's not proof that you've failed. It's a call to reconnect, not to condemn. It's easy to think that being hard on yourself will make you stronger, but in truth, self-compassion is the real path to transformation, because when you feel safe within yourself, you're more open to growth. When you treat yourself with love, you naturally want to take better care of your mind, your body, and your choices. Not out of guilt, but out of deep respect for who you are. Letting go of your inner critic is not a one-time act, it's a daily practice. You catch yourself when the voice returns. You breathe, you question it, you offer a softer response, and over time, the harsh voice grows quieter. In its place, a new voice begins to emerge. Voice rooted in truth, not fear. It says things like, "You're learning, you're trying, you are enough." So, be gentle with yourself. You have carried so much for so long. You have survived battles no one knows about. You have walked through dark seasons and still shown up for life. You deserve a mind that treats you like a friend, not a battlefield. And the moment you stop believing every critical thought, you begin to step into your real power, not by fixing yourself, but by remembering you were never broken. Let go of the need for validation. Not everyone needs to understand your journey. As human beings, we are born with a deep desire to be seen, heard, and understood. From our earliest years, we look to the world around us as parents, our teachers, our peers for approval and acceptance. We want to be told, "You're doing well, you're enough, you matter." And while this is a natural longing, if we're not careful, it can become a silent chain around our spirit. We begin to live not for ourselves, but for the eyes of others. We shape our choices, our appearance, our dreams, and even our personality to please the people around us. We start performing, editing, and adjusting ourselves just to avoid judgment or rejection. But the deeper truth is this: not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will agree with your path. Not everyone will see your worth, your pain, your efforts, or your growth. And that's okay. You were never meant to fit into every frame. You were never meant to be understood by every mind. Buddhism teaches that clinging to the approval of others is just another form of attachment tone that slowly eats away at your peace. When you tie your self-worth to someone else's validation, you give them power over your joy. You become like a leaf in the wind, drifting wherever other people's opinions blow. And in the process, you lose sight of your own center. Letting go of the need for validation does not mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means learning to walk through the world anchored in your own truth. It means recognizing that your value doesn't rise or fall with praise or criticism. It means choosing your path because it aligns with your soul, not because it will win applause. When you live this way, something shifts inside you. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to explain your every choice. You don't waste energy trying to prove yourself to people who were never meant to understand your journey. Think of the Buddha himself. He walked away from a life of royalty. He abandoned wealth, comfort and power to seek something deeper, something the world could not offer. Many did not understand. Some criticized. Some rejected his path. But he did not beg for approval. He simply walked in truth, and through that courage, he lit the way for countless others. You too have that power within you. The power to live with quiet conviction. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to explain your healing. You don't have to justify your boundaries, your solitude, or your joy. Sometimes silence is the loudest proof of self-trust. Sometimes walking away without resentment is the greatest act of strength. And here's the paradox. When you let go of the need to be validated, you often begin to attract deeper respect. Because people sense when you are no longer performing. They feel the calm confidence in your presence. You're no longer trying to be liked. You're simply being real. And that authenticity is magnetic. But even if the world never sees your full depth, you must see it for yourself. You must become your own witness, your own supporter, your own safe place. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you learn to stand firmly in your inner knowing, even when the outside world offers nothing but silence. You begin to offer yourself the kind words you once waited to hear from others. You stop asking, "Do they understand me?" and start asking, "Do I understand myself?" Letting go of the need for validation is not about becoming indifferent. It's about becoming free. Free to be honest. Free to grow. Free to fail and rise again without shame. And most importantly, free to live your life according to your own light, not someone else's shadow. So if you feel misunderstood, take a deep breath. You are not lost. You are simply walking a path that was meant for your feet alone. Keep walking, keep growing, keep shining, even if no one claps. Because your journey is sacred and your peace is too important to place in someone else's hands. 7. Let go of the idea that you must find yourself. You were never lost. So many of us walk through life with the quiet belief that we are missing something, that we are incomplete, that we must go on a long, exhausting search to find ourselves, as if we are buried treasure hidden beneath the surface waiting to be discovered. We look outward, we travel far. We consume books, chase experiences, and compare our lives to others, all in the hope that one day we'll finally feel whole. We ask questions like, who am I really? And what is my purpose? And when the answers don't come easily, we feel more lost than ever. But the teachings of Buddhism invite us to stop looking outward and start returning inward. They offer a radical, liberating truth. You do not need to find yourself. What has happened because you were never that your true lost. Self has been covered layer by layer by years of conditioning, fear, expectation and noise. You have been told who you are supposed to be. You have been taught to wear masks. You have been pushed to chase goals that were never truly yours. And in this process, you have slowly forgotten the quiet essence of who you really are. Letting go of the idea that you must find yourself is not about giving up. It is about understanding that your journey is not about discovery, but about remembering. You are not a puzzle that needs solving. You are not a machine that needs fixing. You are already complete beneath the noise, beneath the doubt. And your true task is not to become someone new, but to gently remove everything that is not truly you. This process is not dramatic. It is not loud. It does not need the world's applause. It is quiet and sacred. It is the moment you stop trying to impress The moment you stop chasing an image, the moment you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start living with the knowing that you are. Your true self is not found in titles, in labels, in achievements. It is found in your stillness, in your breath, in your presence, in the calm you feel when you are no longer pretending. Buddhism teaches that the self is not fixed. It is not a solid thing that can be pinned down and defined. Instead, the self is like water, always flowing, always changing, always adjusting to its container. This means you do not have to stay the same. You do not have to hold on to the person you used to be. You do not have to limit yourself to the identity the world gave you. You are free to grow, to expand, to release what no longer fits. And by doing this, you move closer to your natural state, open, peaceful, and alive. Letting go of the need to find yourself also removes a heavy pressure. It means you no longer have to force clarity. You no longer have to chase big answers. You can stop reaching for something outside of you and start simply being with yourself in silence, in acceptance, in the gentle unfolding of your life. Each day, each breath, each small choice is a step toward coming home. You are not defined by your job, not by your past, not by your trauma or your achievements. You are not the version of yourself that others see. You are not the mask you wear when you feel afraid. You are not even your thoughts or your emotions. All of these are passing clouds, but beneath them you remain the same, steady and enough. When you let go of the illusion that your worth is somewhere out there, you reclaim the peace that has always been within. You stop waiting for a future version of yourself to give you permission to be happy. You stop delaying love, peace, and joy. And you begin to live now with gentleness, with gratitude, with awareness. So pause. Let go of the chase. Breathe into this moment. You do not need to go and find yourself. You simply need to return to the part of you that has always been here, watching, waiting, and loving you through everything. That part of you is your truth. That part of you is your home, and it was never lost. It was only forgotten. 8. Let go of resistance. Peace begins when you stop fighting life. There is a silent battle many of us are fighting every single day. A battle not against others, but against reality itself. We resist what is. We push against what is happening. We tell ourselves, this should not be happening. It is not fair. It was not meant to be this way. And in this resistance, we suffer. Not because life is harsh, but because we are fighting life instead of flowing with it. Buddhism teaches that pain cannot always be avoided, but suffering is a choice. Suffering begins when we fight the present moment instead of welcoming it with openness. Think of holding a rope that is being pulled tightly from the other side. The harder you pull back, the deeper the rope cuts into your hands. But the moment you let go, the tension fades. The pain reduces. Life often works in a similar way. We try to control outcomes. We try to change what has already happened. We try to escape uncomfortable feelings. And by doing this, we only tighten the rope. We create inner struggle when there could have been calm. The mind says this is not how it should be. It should have happened differently. I am not ready for this. When we believe these thoughts, we build a wall between ourselves and peace. Letting go of resistance is not about quitting or blindly accepting everything that happens. It is about meeting life with openness, not with argument or struggle. It is about seeing what is in front of you and saying, this is here. I may not like it. Maybe I do not fully understand it. Still, I choose to stop fighting it. Only when you stop pushing against what is, do you begin to see more clearly. When you resist, your mind fills with judgment, fear, and tension. But when you relax into acceptance, a new space opens inside you. In that space, healing begins, clarity grows, and wisdom gently guides you forward. Deep peace exists on the other side of surrender. This surrender is not about giving up. It means moving with life, growing through each moment, and learning from change. When you release the need to force life into your own image, you begin to notice the good that is already here. You start to trust that even the hardest moments hold meaning, purpose, and lessons. What feels like chaos may actually be the beginning of transformation. What looks like a door closing may actually be guiding you towards something better. Here is something people often forget. You do not need to like a situation to stop resisting it. You only need to stop arguing with it. Acceptance does not mean agreement. It means acknowledgement. It is the ability to say, "This is what is happening. Now how can I face it with calm instead of anger, with wisdom instead of worry?" You do this by breathing through it, sitting with it, and allowing it to be as it is for now. From that calm place, you can begin to make steady, mindful choices instead of reacting from fear or stress. In Buddhism, the root of peace is taught as non-resistance. Even if storms rise outside, your mind can remain calm and steady within, like the ocean floor. Stillness is not about escaping life. It comes from holding each moment gently, not running from it or denying it, but welcoming even the difficult times with a heart that says, "I will walk through this too." When you stop resisting, you create space for life to move again. You stop holding your breath. You stop preparing for what might come next. You begin to settle into your own strength. You start to believe that you can handle whatever comes. This trust gives you a new kind of strength, not by forcing things to change, but by changing within. If you feel tired from fighting, wishing things were different, pause, step back, and let go. Allow life to be exactly as it is, even if only for this moment. Release the struggle. Let go of needing everything to be perfect before you can feel peace. The truth is, peace begins not when life changes, but when you change. When you start allowing instead of resisting. When you move with the flow instead of trying to control it. When you rest in the stillness of the present instead of running away. We often think happiness is something to chase, or something earned through struggle and achievement. But what if happiness is not hidden in a future goal, in someone else's approval, or in a perfect life? What if happiness is already here, quietly waiting beneath everything you carry? The Buddha's teaching reminds us that happiness is not about gaining more, but about letting go. Let go of control. Let go of the past. Let go of fixed expectations. Release the thoughts and attachments that weigh you down. Every burden you release is not a loss. It is a return to yourself. A return to peace. To the quiet beneath all the noise. You do not need to fix everything to feel lighter. You do not have to wait for a perfect life to feel free. All you need is to loosen your grip. Begin to unlock the chains you have placed around your own heart. Trust that letting go is not giving up. It is creating space. Space for healing, space for growth, space for being fully present. In that space, your deepest self, untouched by fear, pain, or failure, comes alive again. You are not here to carry the whole world. You are here to live with ease, clarity, and love. That begins not by holding on tightly, but by releasing what no longer serves you. The more you release, the more freely life flows. The more you trust, the more peace comes to you. The more you surrender, the more you remember who you truly are. You were never broken, only hidden under many layers. So walk gently now. Be kind to yourself. Let go, one step at a time. Notice how happiness, like sunlight breaking through clouds, begins to shine where the heaviness once was. not as a reward, but as your true nature, the state you were always meant to return to. Happiness is not what appears when life becomes easy. It is what unfolds when you stop needing life to be different.